Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today I'm talking about Dr. Sleep by Stephen King, and this is from Pocketbooks. And it's a hefty little pocketbook. I'm going to take the lazy man's way out and just read the back cover copy, which says, "The Overlook Hotel was there." Excuse me, I've already screwed it up. The Overlook Hotel was where his boyhood gift for shining opened a door to hell. Danny Torrance is a man now, but ghosts of the Overlook and his father's legacy of alcoholism and violence kept him drifting for decades. Now, sustained by an AA community in a New Hampshire town, Dan comforts the dying at a nursing home where they call him Dr. Sleep. But before his remnant power can fade forever, Dan meets 12-year-old Abra Stone, whose spectacular gift pulls him into an epic war with an otherworldly tribe that reignites Dan's own demons and summons him to battle for the young girl's soul and survival. There you go. There's your nutshell as the publisher wants you to know it. For the too long didn't watch crowd, 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. First of all, well, I guess that was the first of all. That's what I said. The Shining, I very much enjoyed the book. It's not my favorite, but it is quite enjoyable. I've read it a couple of times, way back in the day. And then the second time I read it was actually for a college course, but I enjoyed it both times. And so this book I read, it was the first book in this book bundle thing I'm doing where I'm reading books that have been made into movies. And I knew I've been waiting to read this. I have not seen the movie. Put it off until I could read the book and then record this review. I didn't want to watch it, even though I finished the book. Didn't want to watch it before recording this because I didn't want to get anything mixed up in my head. So I don't know what there is to say when I'm reviewing a Stephen King book, especially an older one. A brand new one, I can see maybe people haven't gotten to it yet, which, again, could be the case. I just got to this, and it's from 2013, I believe. But generally, I feel most people who are going to read these things have read them. And as I said, it's Stephen King. It's amazing writing with amazing characters. He does not do, for the most part, those things that he used to do a lot more, doesn't do so much now, but he used to. There were things about his writing that annoyed me, as great as the stories might be. Certain aspects in his writing style I found annoying. He does do, and this is going to be very vague, he does do one thing in this story that I really dislike. Whenever it comes up in a story, whether it's a book, TV show, a movie, whatever, 99% of the time, unless it's really, really well executed, I dislike it. And I disliked it here, but not enough. Everything else is so fantastic that this thing that I really dislike didn't drop this from a 5. Maybe it kept it from being a 6 out of 5. But I'm not going to say what it is, but it would be essentially my only complaint about the book would be this one thing. Of course, we can talk about it in the comments below with plenty of spoiler warnings. So yes, I loved. I was actually surprised. I don't think this is a spoiler. I, for some reason, sort of expected this to just start with Dan Torrance as an adult, and then any backstory we needed would be filled in as we went along. But it actually starts not long after the events of The Shining. So he is still a kid at the very beginning of the book. Now, there's not a lot of that, and then we jump to him being an adult. But that did take me by surprise. But the flow of the story, the characters, the writing, All of it absolutely fantastic. I think King at his peak. The bad guys, they're called the True Knot. I think I can say that. I mean, that's as much of a spoiler as telling you the name Abra Stone, um, which in my sister's case would be a spoiler. She thinks giving a character's name or telling her character's name is a spoiler. I've talked about this before because now she knows there's a character with that name in the story. Um, but yes, there's this tribe of evil people slash creatures, however you want to look at them, but they're all very well written, well drawn, fully formed characters. Um, and the leader of the True Knot, fantastic villain. I'm very much a fan of this character. If you've read it or seen the movie, you know who I'm talking about. And everything just it all works except for that one little thing that bugs me. It technically works. It's just a thing I don't like. Um, so the Dan Torrance living his life, going to AA, essentially rebuilding his life because we do get to see him basically hit rock bottom and and rebuild his life, and I like that kind of redemption story. And so we get to see him building his life, living his life. Meanwhile, we are seeing some stuff with the bad guys. Then we get back to Danny, and then of course it's all going to come together, and it's just so well done. Um, so 5 out of 5 stars for Doctor Sleep by Stephen King. I don't know what else to say. As I said, I don't know that there are a lot of people who have been like on the fence about reading this. I think if you're a Stephen King fan, either you read it immediately or close to that, or like me, you eventually got around to it. I don't know how many people are on the fence waiting for my opinion to tell them they need to read this, but there may be some people. I don't know for sure. But um, I was thinking about this, had wanted to talk a little bit about just Stephen King in general, and then I forgot all the points that I wanted to bring up about Stephen King. Uh, he's an author who, if you go back and you read his short stories, his earliest works, and then Doctor Sleep, the newer stuff, there I do have a big gap between essentially Misery and Duma Key. Not sure because I'm slowly filling it in, so I'm not sure where I'm at this point. But if you go back and read all that old stuff and you read the newer stuff, you can see his growth as a writer. You can see him breaking the habits for the most part of those things that I found annoying. Um, and you can see his, I don't know if change in attitude is the correct way to put it. Um, just sort of taking the sort of negative, the language, the things of the time, the things that a new writer might not realize could be seen in certain negative ways, and doing away with those things, um, for the most part. Again, I'm not an expert. I can't say, but there were in a lot of it, in some of his older stuff. I can't say a lot because again, not an expert, don't have it all memorized. There were problematic things in some of his stories, and I think he's done away with that. Some people might say he's gone a little too far. Now he's too political. Some people do say that. Get over it. It's all political. Um, but it's not completely true. I'm sure you can find plenty of books that aren't political in any way, but plenty of books that people love who that were never thought of as political, but now I don't know. It's just the climate. I don't want to get into it. Um, I don't know where I was going. You can see Stephen King's growth as a writer, is what I was saying, and I like to see that. Um, which is why one of the reasons I like having physical copies. I can grab anything I want at any time, and I could grab Carrie, and then I could grab You Like It Darker, first novel, and then newest book, short story collection with a novella or two, and just see the difference in his writing. Um, so I don't know. Again, I sort of thought I had things I wanted to talk about regarding Stephen King, but I've completely forgotten what all of those things were. So, recommendations for Doctor Sleep. Well, of course, The Shining. And I think you can read this without having read The Shining, which is nice. Um, and the book is absolutely a sequel to the novel The Shining. No connection whatsoever to the Stanley Kubrick movie or any other version. Um, but I do think you can read this without having read The Shining. I mean, you're probably going to miss some things, but I think it works well enough on its own. So, of course, The Shining, that's recommended. But the other thing, and one of the things I like about this, it had a feel to me of, well, I like kids with powers or people with powers versus the government. So, the Institute, Firestarter, to use a couple um, Stephen King examples, or The Fury by, I believe, John Ferris wrote the book. I haven't read the book, but I love the movie. And I like that kind of thing. And even though it's not the government in here, it is still basically a kid with power up against a powerful group. So I had that feeling. So for that, I would recommend, if you haven't read them, Firestarter, The Institute. I really liked The Institute. I can recommend the movie The Fury. It's Brian De Palma. After he did Carrie, he did The Fury, which is young people with telekinetic and mental abilities, and the government wanting to use and abuse them. I need to read the book. So I can't recommend the book because I haven't read it, but I absolutely recommend the movie. I love that movie. I wish I could think of some others off the top of my head. Maybe The God Project. I'm not sure that this actually fits. The God Project by John Saul has to do with secret experimentation and stuff, which, not secret experimentation in Doctor Sleep. Just, it gave me that feeling of kids with powers running from a greater force. Typically, it's the government. Um, and I can't recommend Stranger Things because I've never seen it. But I do know you've got 11, right? Millie Bobby Brown's character, they call her 11, on the run from the corporation, who I assume works for the government. So anyway, that kind of thing. If you can find any books with powerful kids versus the government, I would recommend them. Or try them out. It's a subgenre that I really enjoy. Um, that's it. I don't know what the hell is going on. All of this being unemployed it's been over 2 months now, and I've lost track of what day it is. I've just lost track of everything. So please bear with me. All of that being said, it's Dr. Sleep by Stephen King, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I will have the links for my Twitter, Instagram, and Bluesky down in the description. And that's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.